Hey everyone, I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about plagiarism because I've noticed that in all of my classes, no matter where I teach, this kind of isn't an issue, especially if a student is newer to the college environment or just has never had the opportunity to learn about citing. And I know that it can cause a lot of anxiety too, worrying about plagiarism, committing plagiarism by accident, or sometimes students have been known to copy and paste information from the internet just because they feel so under the gun and kind of like there's a deadline that they have to meet and they don't know what to do. And so they make the easy choice to plagiarize, which essentially is cheating. But in today's day and age, we have places like Turnitin that will show us reports about where you're getting your information from. So one of the best skills that you can develop to protect yourself and to preserve academic integrity is to understand how to properly cite. So the biggest deal when it comes to not plagiarizing is to very clearly mark where you're getting your information from. So the idea when you're writing a paper, whether it's a research paper or an argumentative persuasive paper where you're integrating research, you need to make very clear what it is you're taking from other sources. So your voice should always be the loudest. You are the writer, you're the person who's presenting your ideas, or you're collecting ideas from other people in a way that makes sense to you or maybe supports an argument that you're trying to make. So your voice should be the loudest, it should be in the spotlight, and the research should support what it is you're saying. But then you have to clearly indicate if you're pulling in a direct quote, if these words are completely from another source, you put them in quotation marks, right? And then you also include an in-text citation in that sentence where you're offering the direct quote. You also have to clearly cite any information that you're paraphrasing. So even if it's not a direct quote, if you're putting it in your own words, but the information is coming from somewhere else, you need to cite it. And it needs to be cited within the sentence that you're offering that fact. Now, depending on which format you're using, and I'll scroll down here to show you, this is OWL Purdue. If you just go to Google and you type in owl, like the animal, and Purdue, it takes you to Purdue University's online writing lab, which is what we're looking at right now on the screen. And you'll see on the left-hand side of the screen, there's an MLA guide and an APA guide. And depending on the type of citing that the college or university where you are is asking you to use, you want to use the correct one. Or in some cases, for example, one of the universities where I teach, they don't require each other, and it's just the wisest thing to go with the type of citing that's accepted by the career field that you're in or you're going into. Generally speaking, science type classes, anything in healthcare, many businesses use APA style. Some use MLA when it comes to businesses, but that's more reserved for humanities, English classes, anything in the arts. So the two styles are a little bit different. APA tends to be a little bit more specific when it comes to citing within each sentence. MLA can be a little bit more open to, as long as you're clear that you're discussing a source in sentence one of a paragraph, and then you continue to discuss that source and you're citing it a couple times throughout, they're a little more lenient. But just as a general rule of thumb, what I would do as a newer writer, like if you're in English, one of the first Englishes, freshman English, sophomore English, 100 level, 200 level, or 1000 level, 2000 level, depending on the college or university where you are, I would highly recommend just citing every single sentence that is coming from outside of you. You also want to cite anything really that includes a fact, even if it's something that you're really familiar with. For example, in addition to teaching English, I also teach psychology. If I'm discussing in a paper Freud's ideas, which I know very, very well, I still should really cite that information because it is a fact, and I should be, checking my references to see what the updated information is. I mean, even though Freud passed a while ago, there are lots of people who comment on his ideas. So I would highly recommend bookmarking this site, OWL Purdue, using it to support the way that you need to be citing the information that you're using, and go out of your way to very, very carefully indicate what information is coming from outside of yourself. So a good rule of thumb is if you're including a fact in a sentence, put a citation there. It should be an appropriate citation, one that you're using and it appears on your full reference page or works cited page. And then just to give you an idea, like if I click on MLA guide, my dog really wants pets right now and does not want me to click the mouse. If you click on MLA, there's so much information here. This is such a wonderful site. It gives you an overview of the style, a whole style guide. You can actually even, if you can navigate this site, or you can go back to Google and you can put in OWL MLA cite a book. And it will take you to the section of this website that discusses citing books. You can do the same thing for APA format. You just type into Google OWL APA and the type of resource you're trying to cite. So I hope this is helpful. Please know that, as instructors at the college level and high school level instructors too, can use Turnitin or similar packages that do show us where information's coming from. So it is something to really be careful of.